Hey everybody, this is Rustin Rose with Metal Nation and Access, joined today by Michael Whip Wilton of Queensryche. How is everything in your world?
Hey, this is Michael Wilton of Queensryche. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. You guys are out on the road right now with Fate's Warning, which is a fantastic tour package. And I think you're already playing 3 songs off the new album, The Verdict. How are fans responding to them in the live setting so far?
Oh, yeah, the Verdict 2019 tour is doing great. We're having a great time with Fate's Warning. And we have a new show. We have a new stage show, a new set list, which includes a few songs from The Verdict, which fans are eating up. And, you know, this year's set list is old and new. So it's kind of a balance of the legacy songs, the hits that you love, and as well as the new music that the hardcore fans want to hear.
Absolutely. So The Verdict is out now, and it's just a stellar album and a fantastic reminder of how relevant Queensryche remains nearly 40 years on. You're not riding on your own coattails, and you're creating music that's as powerful as anything you've ever done over the decades.
Right, and that's what we're doing in the band. You know, we're keeping current. Obviously, we're put out these records. Fans know what's going on. You know, this has reminiscent bits of the old school, but it has the new edge, and you're right in there. And, you know, we're getting so much praise and thanks from the fans for keeping this machine going.
And now you guys approached the new album a bit differently, I believe. You sort of went into pre-production with song ideas and pieces, but nothing really completed. And you sort of built the album pretty collaboratively, correct?
Yes, this was kind of an old school way of putting together an album, and it was so beneficial in that everybody in the band used the top bit of their creative atmosphere, balance, everything to get the songs to where everybody was happy. And I think this is a great way for a band to gain its camaraderie and also just solidify the songs so there's no question. And, you know, this whole writing process, we really, you know, put into action just the spontaneity and the creative blossoming of everything. And, you know, we're just so proud of this and how well it's being received. And we're just, you know, thankful that it's a band, it's a team, and we made it all happen.
Yeah, it's a pretty old school way of doing it, just sort of getting in the room again and kicking it around like you used to do back when you first started.
Exactly, you know, and that's what's fun about being in a band. You know, it's not a dictatorship. It's, you know, everybody's throwing in their ideas, and you never really know exactly the outcome of an idea. And it's super fun. It's addicting, actually, and that's why I love doing it. But yeah, I think Queensryche is in a great spot right now. You know, everybody in the band is on their A performance level, and, you know, we just feel we're in a good place right now.
Well, you sort of alluded, you guys are on the road all the time, and when I listen to The Verdict, it feels like a lot of this album might have been written with the stage in mind. Is that sort of kind of how you approached it in a way?
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's to be said for a lot of bands, you know, in our genre, you know, having to tour so much because of the way the industry is and technology, you know, and if you're not going to get the full-on love from the traditional radio stations, you might as well connect with the audiences that support you, right? The music that energizes them, that you get that feeling right back to you. And so I think that, you know, since we're going to be touring so much, we might as well write songs that have a bit of that, you know, infused in them that we know is going to be fun to play live. And we know that the crowd is going to love.
I know when I talked to Todd about the Condition Human album, he said he really wanted to get even heavier the next time around, and you guys really sort of went heavier with this album. Was that sort of planned, or is that just sort of how it played out as you wrote the songs?
You know, it's kind of just the natural evolution of the band. You know, nothing is pre-planned. It's just the way the cards fell. And, you know, we started this out with 20 ideas and refined it down to 10. And, you know, obviously, you know, we want it to be in Queensryche fashion with lots of depth, you know, something that you can listen on headphones, but also that you can crank in your car, your place of business, or wherever, you know. And it's you know, it's one of those albums that you know, we hope that people will listen to over and over again and find different gems and ways of listening to it.
And that's always been one of the great things about Queensryche's music is every time you listen to the album, you pick up something new you hadn't really gleaned before. So.
Exactly, and we're getting fans on all our social media sites all picking their favorite songs from the Verdict, and they're all different, which is really great. To that, it's like we're getting people that says, hey, I've listened to this 10 times already and I'm not getting tired of it. And that's good, because like I said, we put a lot of thought into this.
Which song on the Verdict sort of evolved or mutated the most from its initial conception to the final result?
To me, like the one song that stands out from my perspective is Inside Out. And that's because the underlying theme of the song, the guitar riff, it's something I've had in my arsenal for probably 15 years. And, it's so unique, right? And it just hasn't been able to get on any of the previous recordings. But this one, it fit right in. It's got a bit more of the progressive element. And I'm just ecstatic that finally this song got its due deserve.
Now, I know Todd had to be absolutely giddy to get behind the kit for this record. How did that sort of change the energy for the album in your mind?
Well, it was great because it was a band experience. When I'm saying the songs had to be built, I'm saying that the drum parts had to be built. This wasn't just a jam along, play along the drums to the songs. This was all the drum parts were built, and they were built in reference to, the Queensryche percussion style. A lot of the earlier albums, Scott wrote his drum parts for those songs exactly. So we wanted to keep into that tradition. So it's not like Todd was trying to play, to show his ability. He was playing and writing for the song, for Queensryche. And, that's what's great. We had everybody pumping him up and, giving him confidence. And once he got started, he had momentum and just couldn't stop.
Yeah, well, and it's no small feat sort of emulating that Scott Rockenfeld style of playing either, so...
Exactly, and it's like, unfortunately, when this whole recording process started, we were devastated that Scott couldn't be a part of it, but, he gave his blessing, and we're used to adversity in this band, and opportunity was there, and we made it happen.
Well, as I said, it's just an absolutely fantastic album, and this year also marks the 20th anniversary of Q2K, which was the first post-DeGarmo album for you guys, and that album, it meant significant changes for you personally, I would imagine, as a guitarist and a songwriter. What are your memories of making that record?
Well, yeah, that was, we were just fragmented, as you said, and trying to experiment and put an album together with different ingredients, and not knowing exactly how it was going to come out. So it was, I think, a starting point for Queensryche to get back on a path with the departure of my buddy Chris DeGarmo, but and it just kind of laid the groundwork and the foundation for future destinations ahead.
Yeah, I just always thought it sort of gave you a chance to flourish a little bit more, and suddenly you've got this new battery partner on guitar, and you got to break out a little bit. So,
yeah, it's it's as far as the arrangements and playing the parts live. It's obviously you got a lot of shifting of parts and who's going to play what, and I think now we've got a situation with Parker Lundgren. He really respects the Queensryche guitar playing. And as far as the legacy songs, my advice to him was play them exactly like they are on the record. No one wants to hear your version of it. They want to hear the songs the way they were recorded. And with that, you're going to gain the respect of the fans. And he's done that. And I'm really proud of him. He's becoming a really established guitar player. And, and he's, becoming a good, accomplished songwriter as well.
Yeah, and it's so exciting that all of you guys were involved in the songwriting on The Verdict. It wasn't just one or two people. This was truly a Queensryche process. Before we get out of here, a couple more quick questions here. There's been a lot of conversation lately about the pros and cons of fans paying for VIP meet and greet packages. I kind of wondered what your thoughts are on that, because with bands having to tour to sort of make up for the fact that album sales aren't what they were when, with the digital age and everything, what are your thoughts on those sort of VIP meet and greet things?
I think, it's up to the bands, just the way they do business, and it's for us, it's either you have them or you have nothing, and the fans would rather have something than nothing. So that being said, and then in the whole media digital age, the fan clubs have gone by the wayside. So this is just one way to keep a part of that and keep the close proximity to our fans and friends.
Well, it's this interesting dynamic, too, because when Queensryche first came out, we were still in the midst of that rock star era. You couldn't get close to or really have contact with your favorite bands and heroes. But now, thanks to technology and illegal downloading, social media, that direct connection to the fans is in many ways what keeps bands thriving.
Exactly, and it's obviously bands that have been around as long as ours, you got to learn to adapt. And it's an ever-changing industry, and it's a bit challenging these days when, it's like you said, most people would rather just stream music, at their desktop. And, the ways of high fidelity and critical listening kind of go by the wayside. But you can't stop technology, so it's going to keep coming at you, and you just got to hope that it doesn't destroy the touring music industry, because after that, there's nothing left.
Absolutely. So I was actually watching, just sort of prepping for all of this. I watched the original Queen of the Reich video the other day. Do you guys ever look back on that and sort of laugh at the cheesiness of those early 80s videos everybody had to make?
It's so nostalgic. We were really young back then, and, just different opportunities laid themselves out to us, and, we just kind of went for things. And that was really just an eye-opener as far as our early videos are concerned. And you go back and you look at that and you just go, wow. Yeah, I guess, we were pretty young when that happened. Speaking of Queen of the Reich, I mean, we still play that every night.
Yeah.
The fans love it. It's an energetic song, and it's super fun to play. And yeah, Todd can nail it every night, And, what's interesting is, like, when we first did the Queensryche EP and recorded it, we never thought any of our music would ever be on radio. But back in the early 80s, I worked in a warehouse, and they had a radio. And all of a sudden, on the local FM radio station, I heard Queen of the Reich. And I was telling all my coworkers, I go, that's me. They didn't believe me. They go, no, that sounds like some European band. And, needless to say, they ate their words, and I got to quit my job and go on the road.
Awesome, Mike. Thanks so much for taking the time. Again, The Verdict, fantastic album, one of my favorites of yours in the entire catalog. We're so excited you're still making great new music for us, and we look forward to seeing you on the road, my friend.
All right. Thanks for supporting Queensryche, and thanks for supporting live music, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Absolutely. Take care.